I saying? Because that was actually an important phone call. Okay, what was I saying? Something about vampires. Guys, it's Sarah, and today is BookList Thursday. This is a video series I do with my friend Lindsay over at Lindsay's Little Library. And every Thursday we bring you some sort of list or a book topic that we feel like talking about for the week. And this week we're going to talk about some books that could be good palate cleansers. Now, what is a palate cleanser, you ask? A palate cleanser, to me, is something that you read in between heavier books. So if you're reading a heavy book that either has a heavy topic and it just kind of takes a lot out of you, or if you're reading a big, huge fantasy book and you just need something a little bit lighter after that, to me, that's a palate cleanser. So it's something that's light, easy to read. You don't need to think about a whole lot. It's just a really fun story that just makes you happy. It's a quick read. That's, to me, is a palate cleanser. So these are just some books that I've read that I consider palate cleansers and that I would definitely recommend if you're just looking for something that is fun, light, easy, and you're going to have a good time reading it. First one I want to recommend is a little book series that has 4 books in it. So it's a quartet, but you can read them in whatever order you want. It doesn't matter. And the first one is Here, and this is by Jenny Bunting. This is the Here in Lilyville series. This is an adult romance series, and they are just so much fun. It's independently published, so that's also very good. And they follow different characters from this friend group of women. And the first one, when I read it, I enjoyed it so much. I flew through it so quickly. They're just so much fun. So the first book, we're following our main character who is the bridesmaid in one of her best friend's weddings. However, she is being met with her ex-boyfriend, who is a groomsman. The groom is also her ex-boyfriend. So that's an interesting dynamic right there. And the thing with the groomsman ex-boyfriend is that there's a lot of history there still. There's a lot of negative feelings towards him. It was not a good breakup. And she is kind of being forced to share the same space with him now. She's not excited about it. She's kind of dreading it. And she's very nervous about how they're going to react to each other. So it just kind of follows that. It follows them being together, like in the same room again, and how they're handling that. And then you find out what happened in their relationship to cause the breakup. And it kind of goes from there. So a lot of fun, really quick read, steamy. She delivers on the steam, and the banter is just like top notch. I love Jenny's sense of humor. It's like my sense of humor. So I laughed out loud quite a few times reading that book, and I really enjoyed it. I've read the first 2. They're fantastic. I can't wait to read the rest of them as well, but definitely good palate cleansers. I love them. Okay, now we're going to switch gears and we're going to go to an urban fantasy. Now, I have a vampire series that I really enjoy reading. And the reason I consider these a palate cleanser is because they're quick reads, they're fun, they are super steamy, and there's a lot of them. I'm going to check, actually. I'm going to check right now and see what number has been most recently published. So the most recently published book in this series is number 32. Number 33 comes out in September. So, yeah, there's a lot. And I am behind. I'm in the 20s. I know that. So I'm not like super, super far behind, but I'm definitely behind. I need to start catching up on these books. But this is the Arjuna vampire series written by Lindsay Sands. And this series follows a family of vampires. So not only the main family, but also their acquaintances and friends and people they work with and stuff. It kind of just follows a different person every time. And the thing that I love about this series is that they're very quick reads. They are super, super steamy. They are interesting. I really like the explanation in this series of how vampires came about. And each book follows someone, either a vampire in this family or someone even who isn't a vampire but is associated with them somehow. You follow a different person each time. And each vampire ends up finding what they call a life mate, which is the one person on the face of the earth that you can be in a relationship with and be happy. There's only one, and they are kind of pre-chosen for you, if you will. And so you follow these vampires and sometimes humans finding a vampire who is their life mate. Sometimes the human is the main character. So it's really interesting that way that, it's a little bit different. And sometimes their life mate is another vampire. Sometimes their life mate is a human, like I said. And the human ones are really interesting because they have to try to convince the humans to become vampires. So it's a whole thing. And I will say the steamy scenes in these series is like really good, really, really good, because that's part of being a life mate, is that you feel a type of passion with them that you don't feel with anybody else. So top notch on that. But they are so much fun. I actually really want to get back to the series. It's been so long since I've read one. They're just fun. And you don't necessarily need to read them in order, I would say. I mean, I think to me personally, if there's a series, I like to read them in order. That's me. That's my type A. I need to go in order type thing. But they're fun to jump back in. Like you can be away from it for a while and then jump back in and be fine. So yeah, I really, really like that series. Okay, another palate cleanser. I'm going to go with an author more than a specific book, but I will recommend my favorites, and that's Christina Lauren. I love Christina Lauren. They are a writing duo, best friends who write together, and their books are so much fun. They are definitely light, fun, funny, pretty steamy, I would say, as well for them. Like there's some steam in there, some more than others. They have the Beautiful Bastard series, which is very steamy. That's kind of like definitely more on, I would even call it a smutty book series, but they're fun. And they have another series as well. It's like Filthy something. I haven't read any of those yet, so those are not ones that I can recommend quite yet, but The Beautiful Bastard is fun. So they're not like amazing books, but they're a fun read. Now for their standalones, my favorites, if you want to go for palate cleanser, I would say The Unhoneymooners for sure. Autobiography was really, really good as well. And I also read The Honey Don't List, which wasn't necessarily my favorite, but still could be a good palate cleanser. It's, a fun, light, easy read. It's definitely palate cleansers, easier to read, is super quick, very funny, pretty steamy. And now we are going to go to a duology that I just read. I just read these books and I loved them so much. They were so much fun. And that is the American Royals duology by Catherine McGee. So the first one is American Royals, second one is Majesty. I read them both back to back and loved them. They were fantastic. So this is a series that follows the United States, but as if George Washington was a king instead of a president. So there is a royal family in the United States versus a democracy voting system that we have now. It's like a royal family instead. So the people that we're following are actual descendants of George Washington, and they are still in power and on the throne. So it follows kind of like a royalty hierarchy type thing in the United States. And so we follow the king and queen, and then their children is mainly who we follow. So we have Beatrice, who is next in line for the throne. She's the oldest. There has never been a queen of America. And she finds herself in that position where she's next and she's going to be the queen, the very first queen of America versus the king. So that's something that she's dealing with, all that pressure. Then there are a set of twins, Jefferson and Samantha, who are prince and princess and like to get into trouble, especially Samantha. So lots of fun, lots of political things happening in here, obviously, with all of that. And it was just a great time. There was so much drama. You also follow a girl named Daphne who is desperately wanting to be in this royal family, and you see her doing whatever she has to do to get there. And then you also follow Samantha's best friend, and she is kind of caught up in everything as well, even though she's a complete outsider. So like, oh gosh, it's so much fun. There's so much drama. I was listening to both of these books. They are fantastic on audio. And for both of them, I was just like, oh, no, like just one of those things. I just completely got lost in it. It was so great. So much fun. Definite, like just really good, fun palate cleansers. And the last one I'm going to recommend is a historical fiction, historical romance to be specific, and that is the Girl Meets Duke series by Tessa Dare, which I have talked about before. I absolutely loved these. I devoured them. There's a 4th book coming out and I cannot wait. It's been pushed back. It's fine. But the first one is called The Duchess Deal. And these are just so much fun. They are so much fun. This follows a quartet of friends and how they are meeting dukes in this area where they're living and how their romance blossoms with these men and just kind of their situations and everything. So much fun. I will say the banter is fantastic. The language in here is much more modern, which I just really enjoyed, even though it's, a historical book. And I loved the situations they were all in. They made me laugh. They were so funny. Steam, again, like apparently I'm just going to recommend all the steamy books. On point. And they were just so much fun. I completely devoured them. Like I could not put them down. They were a great time. Big surprise because I'm not usually a historical romance reader. But these I just devoured. They were a great time. And yeah, I definitely recommend them. Okay, guys, that's going to be it for me. Those are some books that I would recommend if you're looking for something light and easy, if you're coming off a really heavy book or a huge fantasy series or just something that you want to keep reading, but you need something that is just, easy to fall into. You don't have to think too much about it. It's just a great story that you're getting. These are the books that I would definitely recommend for that. And make sure you go check out Lindsay today, see what books she recommends for palate cleansers. I'm excited to see what she's going to say, and we will see you guys again soon. Hope you have a great day. Bye.